Hi, it's Stacy from FamiliesWithGrace.com, and I have part 2 of prayers for your children for you today. I shared last week with you the first part of prayers for your children with 7 prayers that you can pray that are intentional for your children, and I have 7 more for you this week. So altogether that gives you 2 weeks worth of prayers for your children and just a way to be intentional about how we are praying for them. You can find all of these prayers listed over on the blog FamiliesWithGrace.com. Or if you would like to purchase prayer cards with these on there that are really easy to print out and go through on your own during your prayer time, head over to FamiliesWithGrace.etsy.com to find those. So let's get into it, because as Christian moms and dads, we have a responsibility to our children in so many ways, from teaching them and caring for them to praying for them. And praying for them is probably, well, it really is the most important tool that we have as a parent. And I definitely do pray daily for my children, but sometimes I can get stuck in a bit of a prayer rut. I find myself praying for kind of the same things for my kids day in and day out. And I don't want to do that. I want to be intentional about praying for all aspects of their lives and for their futures. So we are continuing today with another week of prayers for your kids, and I would love for you to join me on this journey of intentional prayers for your children. I have 7 Bible verses with prayers for you that you can find. I'm not going to go through the actual prayers, but I'm just going to talk about each of them here on the video. But before we get into that, let's talk about why we should keep praying for our children. We know that praying for our children is important, and as we are continuing to pray for our children, I just want to encourage you to just keep going and keep praying. For me in my life, discouragement is one of the tools that Satan uses to get to me the most. Through the years, I've learned the best way to combat that is with prayer. I talk to God when I'm feeling discouraged about what I'm doing and whether it's even worth it. I'm honest with Him and ask for help, wisdom, and discernment. And sometimes we can even start to feel discouraged like this in our prayer lives. I have prayed for situations and people so many times, and I haven't been able to always see God at work in those situations and in those lives. Yet through faith and what the Bible tells me, I know He's working even when I cannot see. So I mustn't give up, and neither should you, because Colossians 4:2 tells us in the NIV version, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. The Bible constantly reminds us to pray without stopping. As we continue on with intentional prayers for our children this week, may we devote ourselves to prayer, be watchful, and be thankful that God is working all the time. All right, so for this week, the first topic that we are going to pray for our children for is for their mental health. The Bible verse that goes along with this comes from 2 Timothy 1:7, and this is from the New King James Version, and it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." So we want to pray that God is at work in our children's mind, that He helps them with their mental health and gets cast out anxiety and fear and self-doubt that they have, and just replace it with His goodness and His strength and His peace and all of those things that come from Him, that they can remain calm and live fully in His power and in His love. And we want to ask that God protects them from any influence that would bring harm to their well-being mentally. All right, the second thing we're praying for is their relationship with God. So the Bible verse is John 15:5 from the NIV, and it says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing." So we want to make sure that we're praying for our children, that they are opening their hearts and their minds fully to God. And we want to, if they don't know Him as personal Savior, to definitely continue praying that they do come to know Him as personal Savior. And if they do know Him as personal Savior, we just want to pray that God helps strengthen and deepen their faith and grow in their relationship with Him. We want to ask God to help them stay connected to Him and all of the things that they have going on, and in the midst of all the temptations in the world, because there's certainly a lot of stuff out there vying for our children's attention and tempting them in ways that are difficult to resist without God. All right, our third topic is to pray for their relationship with their siblings. So if your kids do not have siblings, if you have an only child, you can pray for their relationship with their cousins or with friends, or however you would like to do that. But this focuses on siblings, and that's what our Bible verse is about as well. But you can definitely tailor this to meet your own family's needs. All right, so 1 John 2:10 in the New International Version tells us, anyone who loves their brother and sister lives in the light, and there is nothing in them to make them stumble. So we want to pray that God just grows our children's relationships with one another and helps them to love each other and treat each other with kindness and compassion, to help them have grace for each other. We want God to help them treat each other with love and to build their relationship so that they will be friends as well as siblings, and that God can help keep those hard feelings from festering among them. The next thing we're praying for is their relationship with us, their relationship with parents. So Proverbs 1:8 and 9 in NIV tells us, listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They are a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck. All right, so we want to pray that God will help our children to have a good relationship with us. We want him to also give us the wisdom that we need to be the kind of parents that our kids need in order to raise them according to his will and plan for their lives. That's a very important thing as well. And we want to just ask that God can help us and our children have grace and compassion for one another, and that our relationship stays close as they grow. All right, another thing that we want to pray for is for our children's physical health. 3 John 1, chapter 1, verse 2 in the NIV says, dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. So physical health is definitely something that we want to pray for our children. We want to ask God to just continue to meet their physical needs and help them to remain healthy and help their bones to continue to grow strong and their bodies to function well. We want to pray that he will help them to enjoy good health. But then we also want to ask for help, that if they do have a health struggle, that God will help us turn to him fully and trust that he is good and he is in control and he is at work in and through all of it. All right, and then we also, the number 6 prayer for this week is their safety. We definitely want to pray for our kids' safety. And 2 Thessalonians 3:3 in the NIV says, but the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. So we definitely want to pray that God protects our children, that he keeps them safe when they're with us and safe when they're not with us. And we just want to ask that he can put a hedge of protection around them to protect them from the evil one and from his schemes, and just keep them safe everywhere that they are. That's definitely a prayer that I think all parents really, really want to pray and really should pray. And finally, we want to pray for their future. So we talked last time about praying for their spouses, but I also want to talk about praying for their future as a whole, and thinking ahead for our kids and what they have coming for them. So let's look at the Bible verse for that, as Romans 12:2 from the NIV says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And that's important because we want our children to be able to know what God's will is for their lives. And so we definitely want to pray that God helps them to discern and figure out where his plan is, what his plan is for their lives, and what they should do, where they should go forward. We want to ask that God will help them to seek him, and that he will open and close the right doors according to his will and plan for their lives, and that he can just renew and refresh their minds so that they can be open to what God has for them and to identify it in the midst of all of the different voices and things that they hear and things going on. Okay, so that concludes our 2 weeks worth of prayers for your kids. Definitely, if you've not checked out part 1, please go and do that. You can find the video about it on YouTube. You can also find it on the blog, familieswithgrace.com. And then also head over to familieswithgrace.etsy.com and check out the prayer cards that you can get for this. That will just help you as a great resource to be able to just go through. Either you can do it on your device because it comes as a PDF, or you can do it printed out. Either way is very helpful. You'll find all kinds of other great family printables over there as well. So I hope that you are having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye-bye.